Good morning, beautiful people. Let's wake up in the den. Gule Agbayani. As you can see, I'm trying to be creative with our music coming out of my computer here. No, but in all seriousness, good morning, everybody. We were doing a very impromptu YouTube show. We are not in the dark. I know I titled the YouTube Wake Up in the Dark, but we are not in the dark, but there is. That's why, myself, Kule Agbayani, Paul Brecht, we are in our little corner that you usually see in the background of our normal setup over there. But other than the lights and everything else, we're all in the dark. The lights behind. Well, I don't even know. I didn't even attempt to turn on the lights, but
they are out.
Everything is pretty much out. I had to walk through the dark staircase this morning with my. At least their phones these days have a built-in flashlight.
Yeah.
But
well, speaking of, that's actually really funny.
That is actually.
It was not planned, but
that is so weird.
Nonetheless.
At least we are. I guess we have our computers though.
Well, yeah. I changed over to my personal hotspot so as to try and give as much
is so
leeway as possible.
Funny.
That was actually, I don't think
that
was
not planned
like
whatsoever.
Well, and the funny thing is, there's obviously here, I guess I should turn my brightness up a little bit, being that it's our only light. But the light switch is over to my right here, to the left side of the screen. So it's not even as though we could have orchestrated that had we tried it. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi is still up. Hopefully it is.
Well, like our YouTube, it's hooked up to our
broadcast,
which is good.
Internet.
So like at least we didn't get ruined completely. So I think I don't know.
It seems that we're still on and still live. Either way, we still just wanted to come on mostly because it's that time of year. There's still so many different things happening. We would miss you, beautiful people. I wanted to come on mostly just because I don't get a chance to talk to you, beautiful people, tomorrow. So
that's right.
This will be my lone chance before Aloha Friday to chat with you guys. And there's still plenty of things that have gone on in sports since we last talked to you, both the NFL, the NCAA, college transfer portal continuing on, million different things. I've got a doctor's appointment later today that I've got to get to, so had to make sure that we fit this in.
Yeah, this is just hilarious. And like we said, when you guys first tuning in, like that was not planned, and I was in the middle of joking about how I titled the YouTube show that we were the show is going to be in the dark, because for the most part the emergency generators in our building, it had at least the lights, the emergency lights at the exits, your typical things that buildings should have, and then like we had, as you saw in the beginning, had our studio lights on. And it was all good to go, and we're connected. Fortunately we have our big power bank that is powering this broadcast right now, and the microphones and everything that we have that we usually take on the road, and how we can bring all of you guys the different games that we do at all the OIA locations, and not having to worry about power. So fortunately we had that. And that is kind of how we're making this happen right now, and what we're plugged into. And our internet is separate from the building internet, because our building internet and the studio, everything is essentially dark, as you can see around us. So that's why it's just hilarious that I can't believe it worked out that way. This is gonna be a clippable moment.
I was gonna say it's gonna be awesome to go back and clip.
So I hope we're okay. Chime in on the live chat if you guys want to get in on the conversation, or if we sound weird or something. I don't know. Like
give
just
any feedback,
because we're trying to gauge based on our very, very basic system that we use for our live streams, and I'm hoping it's doing okay. I think our friend Caesar might be a bit disappointed that it's gonna be surprised that.
I was gonna say, I gotta imagine he's got no idea we're on right now. I'm sending out my own social media posts to try and let people know, but you did a nice job before we popped on being like, hey, sorry, the power's out. And the power really went out on us. But we're still here because we always want to be here. No days off. Hashtag team no days off.
I feel like we even should have maybe like done a YouTube. Oh, it would have been really dark on a
Instagram or
Instagram
something.
Live, yeah. But anyways, let's get to some sports talk. Just a second, as Paul mentioned, he will not be here tomorrow, or if you're tuning in tomorrow, he will not be here on a Thursday because as there's like flashlights behind us. He will not be here on Thursday because it is the return of Sharks Weekly. So he will be actually out at Pearl at Kalawao. It's so spooky, like just seeing AC back there with the flashlight and everything like that. But getting distracted, as you guys know I always do. But yeah, he'll be out at Pearl at Kalawao tomorrow to bring you HBU Sharks Weekly golf. So Ed Kageyama and a couple of student athletes and stuff will be out there. So we are back in the full scheme of things here at Hawaii Sports Radio Network. We had OIA girls basketball last night between Pearl City and Casso. Convincing win by Pearl City. Shout out to Raya Tobosa of Pearl City as our Fun Factory VIP of the game. But good fight there by Casso. Tomorrow or Thursday evening, we will bring you Midilani versus Radford. All right, but let's get into the sports stuff. Paul, since a lot of people will probably tune into this later, so some of the things that I am promoting might be kind of late. We had certain things planned for you, which I guess we'll talk about on Thursday, and getting into some softball conversation and hearing from first-year head coach Panita Thanatharn. But let's start off with some college football stuff. There is a lot of movement going on, and fortunately for us in Hawaii, nothing as serious as what is going on the P4 level when it comes to it's getting messy, y'all. But let us start here at home.
Fair.
We've been talking about some of the guys that have left, but let's start off with the good news first. Hawaii did receive their first commitment out of the transfer portal, coming in by the way of San Jose State. So Daenerys DeRosa, he is a redshirt senior by the time he is set to play for the University of Hawaii. 6'2", 281-pound offensive lineman, again, out of San Jose State. He wasn't their starter there. He started, I believe, 8 games this past season at left guard was his position there, originally from California. So he kind of got in on certain plays at San Jose State, but at least shoring up the line, as we've been talking about, like, almost at nauseum at this point when it comes to how much more bodies it would help to have in the trenches along with in the secondary as well. So this is a good start for Hawaii, landing an offensive lineman, again, played left guard. Who knows, with the coaching staff we have, they've moved around a lot of the guys, some from defense to offense and vice versa, but pretty decent size at 6'2", and yeah, I think this is a good, nice first commitment. And again, out of San Jose State, Daenerys DeRosa Jr. Coming over to the University of Hawaii, announcing his commitment on social media yesterday.
Honestly, it's just nice to get on the board, right? Yeah. Have something announced and get out there. Like you said, not necessarily a starter for San Jose State this past year, but also does have a little bit of familiarity with a scheme that's somewhat similar to the one that he'll be stepping into here. At the very least, we've also seen injuries happen all of the time on the line. You need some depth. You need guys who are capable. So at the very least, you need a guy who has college experience. This gives you that, and potentially even more in a veteran player. I mean, hopefully he has a great last year of football with us. As you said, we're really just in the business of adding bodies to the trenches and then allow competition to figure out the rest from there.
So that's a start. They do have one of the guys that we mentioned a couple of days ago when we were talking about some of the offers that were announced via the players on their social medias. One of the ones that I saw, DeCamron Verrett, is doing an official visit. So he's coming into town again, just to remind everyone, that's the 6'2", 205-pound junior DB from Texas A&M Kingsville. That's the one, all-conference safety, 78 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 INTs, 12 PBUs in 23 games played. So once again, as we were talking about, needing to replenish the secondary as well. So it's good to see, once again, a lot of, like you said, just some movement, getting on the board. Now, with Verrett, that doesn't mean he's on the board. He's just coming out here to take his official visit. But this is interesting to kind of watch a lot of these guys try to condense all of these official visits, right? Because again, the portal closes next week Friday, so they have to get accepted to the school. They have to just be okay with where they're committing to, and there's over 3,000 people in the transfer portal, not to mention the high schoolers that are up and coming, other JUCO guys as well. This is just 3,000 at that already FBS Division 1 level. So it's getting wild out there, you guys. But again, getting a commitment for Hawai'i in the offensive line, and at least having, hosting someone in DeCameron Barrett for an official visit. So at least, like we mentioned on Monday, we'll start to see a lot more of that action, so to speak, this week.
Yeah, like you said, it has to go fast. It has to move quickly because it is a condensed transfer portal window. There is only this one period for these guys to make their decisions, and it's why you'll see the continuation of, I have an official visit lined up for these 2 days, and then the next 2 days after that, and the next 2 days after that, and sometimes the last day of one visit overlaps with the first day of the next visit, because that's just how travel is going to end up working. So it is going to be important that you make a good first impression, especially if you get a guy on campus. If you can make it so you can have his word before he gets off campus, that goes a real long way. I got to imagine that they're looking at plenty of different options in the secondary because, like we've talked about on previous days, it's not just safety, it's also at corner. You need to bring in bodies, not just because of graduation, but now also because of the transfer portal. Ben Drake, Deleon Freeman, 2 guys entering the transfer portal from Hawai'i as defensive backs, not to mention all the graduations, both starting safeties, etc. So good that they're active on that front. It's going to be important that they close the deal, though, when it comes down to it.
100%. All right, let's rip the Band-Aid off now. Another one of Hawaii's players on offense entering the transfer portal. This news came out yesterday via this 247 Sports transfer portal account that University of Hawaii wide receiver Brandon White is entering the transfer portal. His reps, LVRG Football, tell someone at 247 Sports. And then, so Hawaii losing another piece of their offense. Before we kind of talk about losing that piece, and I'm not honestly too worried about it. I told you guys this yesterday. This is where, I chuckle, and where college football and college sports, but mostly football, because everybody wants to be an agent. Everyone has representation now. And I mean this in the best way. And Brandon White was very good for, or he was a good piece on the Hawaii offense.
I don't know if I'll say very good.
Yeah,
but he
was a piece, but he wasn't Jackson Harris, right? So it always makes me chuckle when I see kind of these mid-tier receivers have representation, because to remind everyone, not everyone who represents these players has to be an actual registered agent. They don't have to have their law degree and understand contracts. And there's no cap on the percentage that these companies take for the deals that they get their clients. And there's all kinds of other jargon that is in these contracts. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say that's the case and I'm not trying to, say bad things about Brandon White's agency, but if you're
but it's a fact of the matter.
If you're a receiver that isn't looking, or potentially not looking at a massive type of deal, going to a big school like we saw Jackson Harris, right, where you need representation to negotiate something that's massive and all of that stuff, you're better off just I don't understand the point in getting representation, because you can just do your own deal. And then it rubs me the wrong way, because it's when you do have representation that already is saying that you're trying to get the bag. And I get it. I know that's the day that we live in. But once again, when you're a mid-tier receiver, never had any type of action from the P4 school that you transferred from in Kentucky, came to Hawaii, the land of, was able to work into the schemes, get a few touchdowns, be a piece in this offense, and now you're going to parlay, but not have a Jackson Harris type of year and not have Jackson Harris size. It's interesting to me, and I had to vent about that a little bit, because to me, I'm why would you even, personally, why would you risk giving up a percentage of what very minimal bag you will likely get? And hey, I will be the first to admit, If he does prove me wrong and goes somewhere that's like high level P4, I'll be like, all right, good on you on your representation. But just the way that I've seen things work out, I mean, we talk about DeKel Crowdis, his former guy from Kentucky, right? Like, that he tried to parlay it, didn't really have a lot of action where he went, and probably got a small bag, but, like, that's cool. Was it worth it to not get action and get a minimal type of compensation? And I don't know how much the agents took out of it, right? So this is the part where, I don't know, like, it just gets really with college football, where if you're going to have the representation for not that much proof in the pudding, because I'm pretty sure we can all agree he's not Jackson Harris level.
Well, yes, I would agree there. I think that's fair. Whatever on the representation, it does feel weird to not have a massive season and then be like, my agent is the one telling reporters, like, you're more than welcome to enter the transfer portal. Just say that you're entering the transfer portal. But that's more just kind of how I feel. Like, I don't really care about it one way or another. We've said this a few times where we're not really going to sweat people coming or going, because we understand that that's just kind of the way that business works nowadays. But I am a little curious what he's looking for, because I mean, it's a pretty pass-happy offense here in Hawaii. Perhaps he got word that they're bringing in somebody who will compete at his position, and perhaps he wants to go to a place for more playing time. Like, perhaps...
Which is fine,
and that's totally fine.
But usually when you have representation...
Well, and I don't even know if it's like, usually if it's you have representation, but it's like, if your representation is the one putting in your name to the transfer portal, like, I don't know. I understand controlling the narrative. It's interesting. I wish him all the best.
Yeah.
I'm not terribly worried, because in general, I was personally disappointed with what he was this year. That's probably more my fault, because I looked at him and I was like, man, his speed could really end up, that could end up replacing DeKel Crowdis, because it seemed that he and Micah had started to find some sort of chemistry at the very end. Obviously, it was the Utah State and the New Mexico game a couple of seasons ago now. But I was like, okay, maybe he'll be able to step in there. I know he's super fast. Like, he's a bit of a diminutive receiver, but that's fine. He had some drop issues. It never seemed that he truly clicked with Micah, where, it's not that he didn't have opportunities on deep shots down the field. I can rattle off a bunch off the top of my head where there were opportunities, and he never ended up getting or seemingly never ended up finding that connection with Micah. So if he's looking for something else, that's totally fine. I wish him all the best. I do thank him for what was an incredible catch in the Hawai'i Bowl that helped that comeback. But at the end of the day, I'm not really sweating this one. This was, like you said, it's not Jackson Harris. It's not one where I'm like, oh, that one hurts. That's a dagger to my soul. It's like, whatever. See you later.
And that's the thing. Like, I hope people didn't take my little vent session as
no.
me poo-pooing on Brandon White's play and him leaving in general. I'm the same way. You guys know I wish all of them the best and hope they do get that opportunity. It's more my problem with college sports in general, where you have so many agents or wannabe agents out there that I feel like are just essentially going to take advantage of some of the players, because like I just mentioned, if it is playing time, that's something you can do yourself, right? Like that's something. But once you get representation, I just don't like the idea of these adults in the room like taking advantage and putting things in these players' ears that I can get you this much money, and then when I do get you some money, like, I'm going to take 35% of it, and then they're left with barely like that much stuff. So I hope it works out for him and anybody else that chooses to go and he gets whatever he's looking for. But in terms of just talent wise, I'm sure Hawaii will be okay, because we talk about like the players that are still here, right? And the players that could potentially step up. Like, I've just talked like a lot about Carson Pupunu, because he's finally getting to that point where he is being worked in to the offense and really being a significant, but albeit like a second or third type of option for Micah. But that's about where like Brandon White was, right? So you have Carson that could come back. You have Tama Uiliata that continued to progress in this offense. So just whoever, and then I have all the confidence in the world in wide receivers coach Jared Ursua, along with the rest of the coaching staff, to replenish and maybe potentially find another Jackson Harris. Or we saw the rumors, and we talked about it on Monday with Audric Harris out of UW, right? Like coming over here, that he could potentially be that piece that fills in and already has that connection with Micah Alejado because of their time playing together out at Bishop Gorman. So I think the receiving core, not too much of a war. Like I said, I was a little shocked at the way that the announcement was done by Brandon White, that it's like the representation for a receiver that was not the top receiver of a G5 program has the announcement where
to each their own. Like,
to each their own, you're right.
It's just not for me, personally.
Yeah, and then so now though it is starting to get really messy when we take a look at the landscape of everything. Well, actually, before we get into the UW situation, let's actually talk about the Mountain West a little bit, because Andrea,
yes,
that's another one where it's, again, to each their own. It's not a problem if at these days you can't be upset with players entering the transfer portal. Unfortunately, that's what we got to deal with until they get a rein on it.
I think they can be upset with him.
Yeah, so
I
Anthony
think he's fair
Calandria
to be upset with.
We can get upset by we, I mean like fans, and if you're a UNLV fan, like the household I have to live in, it's I'm coming back. Just kidding.
Just don't say
Just
that
kidding.
You're coming back.
So a lot of people were upset about that, as they're deservedly so. But apparently now he is going to replace Dylan Raiola, his Hawaii connections over here via his dad, had entered the transfer portal out of Nebraska. And so Anthony Calandria, we were talking about when he did announce that he was going to enter the transfer portal, that he's likely going to, there's a P4 school that's likely calling him, and apparently it was Nebraska that is calling the name of former UNLV quarterback and Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year, yada, yada, yada. Anthony Calandria, see ya. Out of the opponents in UNLV. We'll see who UNLV ends up being able to land on the flip side, and who Hawaii does have
something for you on that front coming up.
But Calandria going over to Nebraska, and I haven't seen exactly where Dylan Raiola could potentially end up. We joked yesterday about, unfortunately, it's not to his dream school in Texas Tech, where Patrick Mahomes was, but...
happens. What can you do?
All right, what's the news?
So there was movement this morning. UNLV, I believe, had the commitment of Jackson Arnold, a former Auburn quarterback, I believe, a former 4-star coming out of high school. Jackson Arnold commits to UNLV. Just another P4 bounce back type of guy. It's funny to say that now, and it's almost like JUCO bounce back, like D1 bounce back, but it's like this P4 high level, high recruited prospect that didn't live up to it. Now he goes to the Dan Mullen school of, I can get your numbers up, and maybe he can parlay it into something more. But yeah, as of now, that is the replacement, Jackson Arnold.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm looking through the world of what has been happening in the transfer portal. All right. This is kind of where things will start to get messy, and it's almost like when we talk about sports betting, right? And I would always say, a lot of the times it's the sharp bettors, it's the guys that throw in a lot of money, it's the books themselves that end up regulating each other, right? Because nobody wants to get screwed by by athletes. It gets caught like that, as we have continued to see. Is the problem ever going to go away where players or whatever, there's going to be shaving of points or whatnot? No, sadly, that's been going on since before sports betting was legal everywhere, sadly. But for the most part, it seems like we have seen the sports books and things get flagged and it gets regulated. So it's similar to that, and I've said it before when we're going to get into this era of NIL and rev share, that eventually we could get to a point where the big schools will start to regulate each other, because when we talk about professional leagues, the reason why there's so many rules in professional leagues is because billionaires, one thing they have on top of money, it's ego. And the last thing they want is to get screwed over by the other rich guy across the street, right? So it feels like we are slowly heading into that era where these bigger schools, the schools like your Alabamas, who were the SEC schools, who are running everything, they're realizing, like, wait a minute, this was the worst thing to do, because now we're not the kings anymore. Are you kidding me? So this is where legal action starts to make its way, and schools are going to be like, hold on, you guys are screwing with me. So this is all that the stuff I just threw out to say that Anthony Calandro is one thing to kind of go back on your decision, but there was no contract apparently in that one, so it was fine.
So it happens.
It's more by your word. This one, however, what is it, Damon Williams out of UW entering the transfer portal now. After signing,
4 days after signing.
Yes, so after now he did sign. It wasn't a verbal thing like Anthony Calandria.
I guess I have not seen the contract myself.
So this is interesting because this was retweeted, the Damon Williams post on Twitter, and said, so Williams signed what Washington officials describe as a legally binding revenue share contract with the school. The university plans to pursue legal avenues and has been in contact with officials from Big Ten who draft rev share contracts for its league members. We saw another, it escapes me that there was like another school trying to essentially sue the player that left because they already paid him. So this is going to be interesting to follow and see if this starts to somewhat regulate the poaching. It'll never, unfortunately, like I said, with anything else, you'll never completely get rid of it. But when legal action kind of starts to creep its way in here, and whoever it was on the other side, and whether did it get posted yet? The rumors are Ole Miss, right? With Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss, that's where he's going to. I forgot to mention that.
Lane Kiffin doesn't coach at Ole Miss.
I mean, not Ole Miss, LSU, excuse me.
LSU, yes, is the one.
Because I was thinking Ole Miss because Chambliss, the Ole Miss quarterback, is staying at Ole Miss and not going to LSU. So now Lane Kiffin needed a quarterback. Enter the chat, Damon Williams, and this is how we have gotten to the messiness that we are in. But like I said, did he announce an official commitment yet? But that was just the rumors. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So the rumors go like this, are that obviously Damon signed a deal worth approximately $4 million was what was reported. And then afterwards, LSU came in with an offer around $6 million is what I read. I don't know if that's the case. I would imagine it's definitely more than the $4 million to make this decision. That being said, part of the drama that I also liked, Sam Leavitt, the quarterback from Arizona State who's currently in the portal, he was at an LSU basketball game with Lane Kiffin when Damon Williams announced his intention to enter the transfer portal. Sam Leavitt now has a visit scheduled with Tennessee, just for all of those keeping track. Sam Leavitt also originally seemingly was going to go to Kentucky before that spot got yoinked. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in musical chairs.
Did you see the even worse part of the Damon announcement where the football team was?
I wasn't even going to bring it up because it makes me sick about the for those who are missing out on what we're talking about or referring to, apparently the majority of the football team coaches were at services for a young woman who passed away, who was on the soccer team. I believe she passed from cancer, if I'm not mistaken. And they were at the services, and they found out while they were at the services. Not a great look, not a great situation overall. I feel horrible for the people involved, but this is also kind of where we're at in college athletics, because it's like, I can poo-poo it, and like, yeah, the PR of it all sucks. But also, if you told me somebody came in and offered me $2 extra million, especially me at, I'm probably going to have a hard time saying no to that. So once again, it's like, yeah, I'd love to blame the kid, but also I don't know how I'd be able to turn that down. And also, how can I blame the kid when that's the way that the
I
world
know.
has made it all work out? The lone thing that I wish is that he would have handled the announcement differently. That's how I wish it would have gone. But also, I mean, to be fair, I guess I don't know if he was the one who posted first, because you know how these things get leaked. So I wonder if he had his spot blown up and then he had to post because whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm making excuses. In general, not great. Pete Thamel, about 45 minutes ago, did post this. 2 key items in the DeMond Williams signed contract with Washington. As he attempts to enter the portal and transfer, Washington continues to pursue legal options and enforce the contract. The buyout in the contract reads, the cost of the buyout is, quote, in the sole discretion, end quote, of Washington. And 2, the contract states specifically that the institution is not obligated to enter the student-athlete into the transfer portal or otherwise assist or facilitate the student-athlete's transfer to another college or university. A lot of lawyers that I've seen entering their opinions in on this say that's all fine and dandy because the transfer portal doesn't really exist. We saw this last year with, I believe his name is Xavier Lucas, between, I think it was Wisconsin and Miami. You can just unenroll and enroll at a new school, and it doesn't end up really mattering. So I am curious how this all works out as they try and enforce a contract, which a lot of people have been saying for a long time. You need it in writing, and, well, now we see. They've got it in writing. We'll see how much that writing actually means.
That part, the money part, is what
Oh
stands
my
out
God,
to me.
dude.
It's like at the discretion of, all right, LSU, if you're taking them,
Yeah.
then our discretion of the buyout is double what we were going to pay.
That's what I would do. Like, if I can legally do it, why not? Why
But,
not?
and then again,
That's going to pay for half my roster.
That is why, like, I don't know who DeMond Williams' representation is, but that's why having good representation for the higher end of these deals matter, that you have representation. And that is why in the NFL and all of professional sports, everyone has to have, like, somewhat of, like, the law experience, right? Like, they have to know contract law, and there's solid rules that you have to look for as an agent. And that guy's representation probably thought, like, oh, well, you know, he's going to stay, so yeah, whatever. And then now this is and then the agent sees dollar signs at LSU and is like, oh, I can get a percentage of the $6 million.
Correct.
Like, let's go. And it's like,
My
oh,
piece
well,
of the pie just got that much bigger.
Exactly. And that's why it's frustrating, because I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't...
Like,
I've
yes,
gotten to the point, like, I can't
blame,
blame
but
the
no.
kid. You know, unfortunately, they don't have great adults in their corner. Like, I feel like I would if I was in this situation when I was growing up. My parents are all about, like, you know, loyalty. But I was never in a situation. I'm not saying DeMond Williams is, like, but I personally, growing up, I, like, had a great middle-class life, you know? Like, I never had to, like, worry about providing for my family, where some of these kids do have to
Right.
actually worry about that. So that's why I never look too far into, like we mentioned, getting the bag for the kids. I more worry the most about what we're seeing, in the sense that these adults can't. One, the adults that are the commissioners don't want to work together and be like, hey, let's come up with rules and do something about this. And then the representation, some of the parents were, even if they don't need the money, they're like, no, yeah, go get more money. Like, it's okay if you go back on your decisions. Like, no, nobody's going to care. We could, like, to not hold young people accountable for that. That's the part that worries me, because they're going to go out into society and not, we talk about this all the time, Paul, like, not deal with consequences of your decisions and just be able to up and leave. And I think it was like, it might have been Charles Barkley, who said it, where when they do go into the real world, if they're not playing professional sports, and then, the job's going to be like, this is the base salary. It was John
40K.
Calipari. Yeah, he was like, oh, yeah, here's your starting salary. Like, and you have to pay for your parking and your uniform and everything like that. And it's like,
Housing.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I can't afford anything on that. Because then because some of them don't have good financial advisors, or again, adults that will be like, hey, you should invest this and make sure you can grow this money and have this money. If you don't make it professionally, they're blowing it on like they want. So, woo! Here we are, folks.
Welcome
Here
to
we
the
are.
transfer portal era. Not welcome, I guess. we continue
It's
on
here.
in the transfer portal era. Either way, I'm not going to poo-poo kids for
No.
making their decisions, but I do think that it is okay to recognize what the overall appearance of their moves are. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Whatever. At the end of the day, I'm going to celebrate the guys that we end up bringing on in, and hopefully it's a nice, healthy year for all the guys who leave. That's about all I end up being able to wish, because I don't really care after that.
We're just not embracing, that's the wrong word, just observing. And at least, you know what, it gives us stuff to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Observing all the chaos and be able to talk about it with you. If you guys are just tuning into the live stream and wondering why we are in our different setup, and and because we are kind of in the dark.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even notice.
Oh yeah, we're in the dark here.
When did that happen?
The power is out. It's like the entire grid here in Kalihi, Palama area. And Hiko apparently, I had a feeling too, because apparently it was supposed to, the projected power on
was 9:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were 9 minutes past.
Well.
So good thing we were able to have our power bank that we take with us to do different broadcasts of the OIA when there's no accessible power. And that is what we're running on right now with our camera and our internet. And I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we are, just kind of chilling in the dark. And if you missed the beginning of the show, I encourage you to go back, because we did start off actually in the lights, because the studio part of this building did still have electricity, and one thing that was on was the lights in our studio. And so we started the show in the light, and then midway through, I think as I was talking about being in the light and joking about it, it went off.
I said, cut the lights, cut the lights.
How about we make your title of the YouTube
we'll make you
exactly
a truth teller.
All right. Let's take a quick break from this
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break to collect our thoughts, and maybe we'll get into, I guess we'll start talking about some other college football stuff and maybe some NFL. And yeah, I wish we could share with you some of the audio stuff that we had.
Tune in tomorrow and later this week, I guess.
Our baseline that we have right now with what little equipment we have working for us. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network's YouTube channel. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
trying.
I'm trying to make sure you guys can hear the music on my speaker.
I don't even know where your speaker is, to be honest.
It's on the side. I'm trying to give them the same vibe that they get on the show, but
well,
welcome back, guys.
That was never happening. I can tell you that.
Wake up in the 10. Whoops. Kool-Aid hug my audience. Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, streaming live on our YouTube channel in the dark because there is a power outage here in the Kalihi area, and the emergency generators, I can imagine, are pretty much just to power the emergency lights like in the hallways, and then the Hawaii News. We're in the same building as Hawaii News now, so they likely have all the power and they're taking all the juice. We had power earlier in the sense that we had lights earlier in our studio, but yeah, do not have any more.
Ever so briefly, we had lights.
Let's see. The building manager just called and said that the new estimated electrical restoration time is now 1 p.m. So.
Well, I got good news for you. We didn't need it to
We didn't need it. We are here.
Well, let me rephrase. I shouldn't say that. We do need it.
Yes.
Preferably in tomorrow and every day.
Yes.
But today, we were...
I mean, I'm happy that we have some of you guys tuning in. Again, you can chime in on the live chat if this is just, I don't know, if you guys...
Caesar, where are you at?
Yeah, and you can text us. If you don't want to, put your name or face out there, you can text us still at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481. It's one of those days, man, middle of the week. Happy Manawahine Wednesday. Like I said, I was all prepared to let you guys hear from first-year head coach now of the UH softball program, Panita Thanatharn, but we will have to save that for tomorrow morning and talk some softball as well. But it's been and it just keeps it's just so funny seeing the back. I'm not sure how it shows up in the YouTube. If you can just see the flashlight going back and forth, that is our AC Custodio. So, but yeah, he was the one that just texted me the update of 1:00 p.m. is when we will likely be back on. But like you said, at least everything else, everything the bare minimum that needs to work is working for us, and we appreciate you guys for joining us on the live. And we'll put a little clip out there because, like I said, if you missed the beginning, it just was perfect timing where I thought we would be in the lights, and then whoosh.
And we were no longer in the lights.
Yeah, but
so.
Let's see. Let's look through some of the other things happening. We've been talking about the transfer portal. Again, if you guys missed the news yesterday, Brandon White has entered the transfer portal, receiver for Hawaii. On the flip side, coming out yesterday, Hawaii getting some action in terms of commitments. Daenerys DeRosa Jr., a 6'2", 280 redshirt senior offensive lineman from San Jose State, announcing his commitment to the University of Hawaii. So just like we were talking about on Monday, around this middle of the week, early next week is when we hopefully will start to see a lot more traction pick up and I think it was Steven that tweeted it out yesterday, and it's 100%, and we should bring that up, where there is a lot of people in the transfer portal, sadly, because for whatever reasons, all of that stuff, there will be no problem with getting bodies to the University of Hawaii. No. Everyone, and as the time starts ticking down to next week Friday, people, and that's, like I said, the unfortunate part, it's players, their families might start to get desperate, and granted, we don't want a player out of desperation, but I think the football coaches can go out and get the right pieces that they need to make sure we continue these winning ways here at the University of Hawaii. Again, I'm sure I'd like to see another quarterback. We mentioned that before because it's Micah Alihado, QB1 job to lose. Micah Eugenio is coming in from Bishop Gorman. So currently he's QB2 because there's no other competition there in the 808 Slangas room. And after that, we'd want to see some action in terms of getting some quarterbacks there so that there's true competition. Not only true competition for that QB2 role, but just of the confidence that we saw and fans could be okay with seeing Luke Weaver go into the games and getting those 2 wins and coming up massive, right? Like in that Hawai'i Bowl as well. So it would be nice that we were really spoiled to have a backup quarterback like a Luke Weaver who could get the job done and win games. So it would be nice to continue having that confidence in the backup quarterback. And the good thing is we got some pretty darn good coaches over there.
So I was going to say, I'm not terribly worried when it comes to it, mostly because I trust this coaching staff's eye for talent. I believe in them to be able to find talented backups or talented players to join the room that maybe aren't as well known. Yes, obviously we did see on social media an offer go out to the Boston College freshman quarterback who ended up redshirting this year. He's got 4 years of eligibility. So like they are taking swings on guys who have, you know, a little ton of talent and, you know, or had a ton of talent coming out of high school. And then they also, I mean, where did Luke Weaver come from, let me ask you? Came from the JUCO ranks. He was, now, don't get me wrong, he was an All-American. He was arguably the best JUCO quarterback in the country, and probably not arguably anymore. I think you can just flat say that.
Yep.
But, I mean, Hawai'i has been known to go different routes for quarterbacks before, and I'm not terribly worried about this staff being able to find somebody to get a little depth in the room. And realistically, the job, I don't want to say is easy, but it's far easier to find a quality backup than it is to find a star caliber QB1. I like to sit here and think we got a star caliber QB1. That's pretty great. A lot of teams would kill to be in that spot. The fact that we're filling out the depth, and the fact that it's depth on top of, like, you still have Micah Eugenio, who you feel is going to be a starter for you someday. Like, you're in a pretty spot. You can sell it to some young men looking at what Luke Weaver did this past year. I'm excited to see what they do. Yeah, the tweet from Steven Tsai, like you mentioned, there are more than 1 million high school football players, about 7,000 who play JC football, junior college, and thousands of NCAA players in the portal. FBS teams like Hawai'i football will have no trouble filling rosters, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with my whole soliloquy about not leaving any stone unturned when it comes to looking at quarterbacks, and it's a bunch of different positions because I mean, there are a lot of talented guys who sometimes slip through the cracks for whatever reason it may be. Sometimes grades weren't what they needed to be. Sometimes they had to go home and be closer to home so they can take care of things there, and then they bounce back from there. Sometimes it's just academic-wise, and it's like, yeah, we were looking for a better opportunity. There are so many different things. And just because, by the way, somebody was a backup in one place doesn't mean that they can't be a starter somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Sometimes there are coaches who just have a preference for something else with their scheme. Sometimes the fit ends up being better and a backup becomes a pretty darn good player here. So I want to put that out there because I see people poo-pooing like, oh, Hawai'i football's shopping in the... You know, they're bringing in backups and blah, 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 blah. One... Well, welcome to being a G5. You're going to be bargain bin shopping. It's practically like being a small market team in pro sports. You have to find ways on the margins to
like
compete.
At the same time, I don't really like that.
I hate the term, but that's what people are saying.
Well, because you can still be, I mean, that's why I root for, as much as I know people who have been listening to this show, as much as I say like the Bills, their window is done and they're never going to win the Super Bowl, I still actively cheer for the Bills because you like to see a guy like Josh Allen who came from the Mountain West, from a school like Wyoming, like not even Boise State, but Wyoming, be able to potentially win a Super Bowl. So that way it just proves to other young people that, hey, you don't need to necessarily
anywhere.
You be like part of one of these like upper echelon of P4 schools or even upper echelon of the G5 schools with a lot of the money that they have. You just have to be good and you have to be sure you get reps and get opportunities, right? Like you need to get into the game. If the end goal is to make it to the NFL, and we've mentioned this before, NFL money, starting job NFL money is a lot better than the 1 year type of money that you will get. Like $6 million is a lot for a young person, a 22-year-old or whatnot. Yes, for a year, but that is not guaranteed. What is it, like $50 million worth of money? So if their intent is money, where when we go back to someone like Luke Weaver, I do feel like he wants a starting opportunity, and I think he deserves that. He proved himself, right? Like he had opportunities. He went out there. He proved himself. It's not like he sat on the bench. We never saw him, and then now he's like, I deserve to start. People should believe that I can be this starting quality quarterback. He did what he needed to do. He came to Hawaii, got those opportunities, proved himself to get that game-winning touchdown pass in the Hawaii Bowl. So, like, people like that, I really hope that they find what they're looking for and what it feels like it is that starting opportunity, because that's the world that we live in, and those are the stories that, hey, all right, well, you can take advantage of the transfer portal and find that, because he's someone, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he did go somewhere that was, like, almost like same level Hawaii G5, but he's a starter. Because he just wants to be like, I just want to start.
I don't think he's looking for a bag somewhere. I think he's looking at me trying to say anything in a way where it's like disparaging, but like he could lead a team to a national championship at the FCS level.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yes.
I think he could win a national title as an FCS quarterback. Yeah. Like, I think every single program would want him to be their starter. On top of that, G5, I mean, he's a G5 starter.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have started here. He just wouldn't have. And going into his final couple of years, because he used his red shirt this year. Like, he not used his red shirt, but he redshirted this year, which means he can't redshirt another year. He's got 2 years left now. I'm sure he would like to make that as best quality as possible, yes, but also as big an opportunity as possible. So, go start. Just
hard. That's the only stipulation. All right. Talking more college football, we got a couple of games tomorrow. Actually, yeah, since you're not in studio tomorrow, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit with the college football playoff. Here we go. Happening tomorrow, Miami, Ole Miss. And then, of course, on Friday, Oregon, Indiana is the game that I'm looking forward to most. Before we get into those, though, I want to maybe chit-chat a little bit about the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year finalists. It's kind of weird to think anyone else could win it, but nonetheless, some of the finalists are Curt Cignetti. Shocker for Indiana. Yeah. Bob Chesney, another shocker, out of James Madison, but now over at UCLA. Mario Cristobal, Miami. Mike Elko, Texas A&M. Tony Elliott of Virginia. Dan Lanning, Oregon. Clark Lee, Vandy, and Joey McGuire for Texas Tech. So, is there any other option besides? I mean, I do admire, too, what Bob Chesney did. Now, he took over for Curt Cignetti at James Madison, and he parlayed it now to an opportunity at UCLA as well, right? Speaking of how we talk about kids going wherever for the bigger opportunity, they're just following the ways of the coaches.
That's, once again, same reason why I say we will not blame the kids.
Yeah. But at the same time, Miami is the epitome of gone are the days where you had to go through the back door to get that money. Now who wants money? Miami has a lot of resources, clearly. They would not shy away from how much money they want to give their football program. Just go watch the 30 for 30 and all of that stuff that was done that everyone knows about during the glory days of Miami football that kind of somewhat came crashing down and all of that. But still a good coach. You got to out-coach other guys to make it this far into the college football playoff. But, I mean, Curt Cignetti is like...
I mean, Cignetti's the coach of the year. Yeah. To me, the more interesting question is who your top three would be. Because it goes Cignetti at 1. I really liked what Chesney did.
Same.
You're going to laugh at me. I would put Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. Because I sit here and I remember what Vandy was a couple of seasons ago. And for me, I think it's a little bit of a bias thing because I see a little bit of the Timmy Chang arc where he goes to a place, pretty sure he's a Vandy alum. He goes there, takes it out. I mean, Vandy's been the laughing stock of the SEC football for, however long.
Yeah.
And I mean, took it from this low win, whatever, instilled his culture, and got it to the point. I mean, they were top 20 ranked for like a good portion of the year this year. And say what you will about Diego Pavia, but he got the most out of Pavia. I think he is a phenomenal coach. I think Chesney deserves to be on the podium. But it does feel a little strange to sit here and be like, oh, well, no Dan Lanning. Also, Tony Elliott does deserve a ton of credit because Virginia is not a football school. I have never once thought of Virginia as a football school.
Well, we are in that era where things are Indiana, like we always talk about.
But that's kind of what I'm saying is, like, he does deserve that credit, at least to that extent, where it's like Virginia was a legitimate ranked team for a good portion of this year, and they were like, they are a quality football program now, and Indiana is looks like they're on the verge of potentially winning their first national title on the gridiron. So I just don't see a world where it's anything other than Cignetti.
That, like, I can't. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday, where Indiana has gone from a basketball school, like the other schools, like Blue Bloods as well too. It's like, whoa, they got a football team now. This is like some of these basketball schools now have football, and the irony is that some of these basketball schools are. And specifically men's basketball are kind of taking a little bit of a dip, it feels like, because it seems as if more resources are going to football now that these schools realize, like, oh, maybe we should. Because, like, I feel like Kansas has been taking a little bit of a dip. At the same time, I feel like Bill Self is just struggling with the health issues, and we'll see who steps into that role probably within the next few years at Kansas. But, I mean, like, Duke, Kentucky. I mean, I know they've all gone through coaching changes and whatnot, but I mean, shoot, even like UConn for a little bit, like they have a decent football team too for a long time. Like,
you could say they're like a pretty good football
Kansas
team.
And UConn football was like down, but their basketball is like up here, and it's like, whoa. This is so
good for them. I'm happy for all the programs and the fans of programs who long have watched in turmoil on the football field and been like, man, is it basketball season yet? Because I'll say this, a lot of those programs aren't necessarily bad at basketball. They're not to their standards. No. But they're not bad at basketball now. So it's still like, man, the fall is super fun, and now it's still, we're, enter whatever name here. We're still Duke. We're still Kansas. We're still, etc. So basketball season's always going to be fun because they're always going to compete.
I just can't believe I'm in a world where Kansas has to beat TCU in overtime.
Listen, respect Tanner Toolson. Future Rainbow Warrior when he decides he wants to be.
When he decides he wants to come to a real school.
Any of those Utah guys.
Talk about that Oregon-Indiana game on Friday, but what is your initial thoughts on this Miami-Ole Miss CFP semifinal coming up tomorrow?
I don't know, Koo. I really don't know, because I've gone back and forth on it.
Miami, the 3.5-point favorite.
All right, that's good to know. So I'll be honest, it's Miami's defense more than anything else that scares me. Sorry, I got to put my glasses back on. It took me off guard. And that, by the way, that shows you that at the beginning of the show, it was not planned. It was not us making a, hey, everything's coming on.
Whoa.
Look at that.
They told us 1 o'clock, but maybe it's a little earlier.
I mean, maybe they just skipped the 0. Maybe he missed the 0 as he was texting you. He meant 10 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock, maybe. Probably not, but, you know.
Or I could have read it wrong. That's something
that's
like,
fair. That could have happened.
You know, even though that never happens for me, with numbers especially.
No, but in theory it
I
could
do not
happen.
have dyslexia one bit.
Nope, it says 1. Interesting. Well, that says 2, so have fun fixing that. What a great question. Who knows? It's above my pay grade.
No, see, there is a PM too, so it was 1 PM.
Yeah,
so,
it's not your fault.
You know.
In answer to your question, as much as I would love to sit here and pick the team of destiny, Chambliss is electric. He's so fun. I can't put my faith in Carson Beck to win a game of this caliber at this point in his career. I don't know why. I just will never be able to believe in Carson Beck as, like, the difference maker. And I do think that the Hurricanes' defense is good enough to win them this game. I don't know if they have another performance in them the way that they've been going. I don't know. I don't really believe in Mario Cristobal. Like, if I ranked the coaches that I believe
Or the finalists, yeah.
most, it would probably be like Cignetti, Lanning tied at 1.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I guess Golding by default, and like, I don't know. Cristobal, in my mind, Cristobal will always have the flub of not kneeling the ball, and instead they ran it and they over that. And I know that's immature and stupid and whatever, but it's like, I can't get over
it's
that.
It's like when we were talking about Brandon White earlier, and I can't get over that flub of that first kickoff in Stanford. Yeah.
It's like, it's just one thing where it's like, man, I know that shouldn't define it, but it's like, in the biggest moment, if you ask me who I'm going to put my faith in, it's the team that I feel in my heart of hearts is the team of destiny to make the national championship game. Once you get to the national championship, it is literally a coin flip. You got no idea what's going to happen there. And also, I don't believe in Cristobal. I don't believe in Beck. The defense is outstanding, but can they stand on their head once again? I think I'll go Ole Miss. I don't feel great about it, but I do feel pretty good saying whoever wins this game probably loses the national title.
Yeah, that's
like, I feel like the real
fight.
National title is the Oregon-Indiana game. Maybe I'm a hater for that.
I touched on it earlier, but I think it adds to Ole Miss's like favor in the sense that their quarterback in Chambliss, has committed to the program.
That's fair.
So you know what I mean? Like, there's no division in the locker room per se. Now, that's not to say other guys aren't transferring, but when you have like your quarterback that has announced publicly that he is going to remain there, he's not going anywhere, I think that helps keep the locker room together and not have to deal with all of the outside noise and everything. So I thought that was huge that Chambliss, and good on him too for announcing that early, for committing there to stay put at Ole Miss. Now I know, I don't know what the update was, but like the coaching situation though, because I know I
no idea.
Gotta look that up, but I do think that was significant that Chambliss did already recommit to having confidence in what they're able to do. I just think back because I can't remember if we were having this conversation on air or not, but oh well.
We will now.
We were talking about how like starting quarterbacks are like
good
conventionally good looking, and then I was like,
he's not.
Yeah, and I was
just quite frankly.
And I was like, I think I brought up, well, first, and when we talk about the NFL, I brought up Jared Goff, and you're like, but he's married to a supermodel, so he must look good. I was like, okay, fair.
He kind of looks like
he does,
Gosling, right? Ryan Gosling? Was that?
No.
Is that? Am I thinking the right
But
person?
You know what? I thought that good of a quarterback. So, you're just going back.
I've been very consistent. At the very least, I've been very consistent on that. We're getting a couple of questions about the NFL.
Yeah, so we can go there now.
I was going to say, I don't know what your plan on this is, but I wanted to make sure.
All right, let's start off with our guy in the YouTube chat here. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. The power has now gone on, but we'll be continue the rest of we'll just cruise with you guys. Let's see, who are your picks in the Super Bowl? This is funny because we were kind of talking about it yesterday on the show. I don't know.
Yes.
We tried to like rank each side, and we started from the bottom. And then after that, we were like, okay, the bottom teams were kind of like somewhat obvious. Like, we don't really have too much faith in the Steelers to go too far, the Panthers to go too far. I'm just going to be a true Bears fan and be like, I don't know how much I believe in the Bears, how far they can go either. Packers are without Micah Parsons as well, so even if they upset the Bears, well, I guess not because the Packers are the favorite, but even if they get past the Bears, I don't think they go any further than that. And then on the AFC side, I mean, every other team is pretty sneaky good. Like, you could say, like, maybe the Texans are, like, after the Steelers, like, the Texans are...
You know what's funny? I actually heard this stat. I didn't do any fact checking, so maybe it's not true, but I guess the Steelers haven't lost a Monday Night Football game since like 91 or something like that. Steelers coach was on the Rich Eisen show talking about it because Tomlin apparently doesn't lose on Monday night, and he never lost on Monday night. I'll have to check and see if that's true, but if that's true, I'm a superstitious guy where I'm like, man, something's got to give. That defense is great, but if Tomlin never loses on Monday night, he might have those boys ready to go.
And they are at home. You brought this up yesterday, that they are the home team in that one.
And it's like, listen, man, playing in the Pittsburgh cold is a real thing. We talk about it here with our boys whenever they go and they have to play in like Wyoming in the middle of November. Yeah. That sucks. Like, it sucks.
Nonetheless, even if they do get past the Texans, like, whoever comes out of that game is not going to win the Super Bowl.
I don't feel great about their chances after that.
I think if we had to for sure pick, I'd probably go with the odds in terms of the Rams are a favorite for a reason. Like, they are just a solid team, well coached. They have their quarterback, MVP type of quarterback, literally, and it's just not like they have to travel very far. And the 49ers, we don't know if any time during the playoffs they'll be 100% healthy and get everybody back.
That's always the question. Well, and also the question is, great if they win. Who's to say that Christian McCaffrey won't go down with an injury? Who's to say that Brock Purdy doesn't go down with an injury? And as tough as guys these are, I mean, all year it feels like all they do is deal with injuries. What's to say that in the biggest moments of the season that it wouldn't happen again? I mean, it's just more of a, by probability's sake, it's like I'm supposed to put my trust in the guys who are always hurt. And they're great. But Shanahan also has this, like, choking quality to him. I love Kyle Shanahan, but where's the big game win? I mean, 28-3 comes to mind immediately. He wasn't the head coach, but he was the offensive coordinator. Like, I do think that you can make a bunch of cases there where it's like 49ers are good, but do I believe in them deep down? The Rams, it's weird with the Rams. I both believe they can win, and to me, after we talked about it the other day, I'm like, the Rams are going to do it, aren't they? They're going to throw a wrench in everybody's
that's how I feel about, and again, we said this yet, like,
do this after each round. We'll do like an updated Super Bowl predictions and whatever, and once we get the actual Super Bowl, we'll give our like game prediction. But going into Wild Card Weekend, I said this on the show yesterday. I think that Bills-Jaguars game is a sneaky matchup to give you your AFC representative Super Bowl. I'm going to go Jaguars-Seahawks in the Super Bowl. There's my prediction pre-Wild Card Weekend.
Got it. Joey, who asked us the question about our Super Bowl pick, saying he's got Seahawks versus Patriots.
Ooh.
So in agreement on the Seahawks side, we kind of talked about it with the Patriots, where I will believe it when I see it if they're a real team with only having one win over against a team over 500.
Yeah, we'll see.
We will see.
They will prove themselves
and
or
like
not.
you said, we'll reevaluate after every round, and we'll see what happens this weekend. So I like your guys' pick with the Seahawks. I'm still pulling towards the Rams a little bit for that one on the NFC side, and same thing. Like, I can see the Seahawks making a case on the AFC. So I think we were pretty much in agreement with the Jaguars. Like, that's just something about them, man.
They're playing awesome,
especially
football.
If they get past the Bills this week.
So and that's
then I'll be like, the Jags are going to be the representative.
Because in my heart of hearts, I'm like, either Josh Allen's about to have a legacy run, which I could very much so see. You finally don't have Patrick Mahomes in your way, because that's disrespectful to the teams who are in the playoffs. Yeah. But in terms of quarterback play, the path has never been clearer. You have the best guy there. You got the best guy in the AFC. It's his shot. It's his chance. On the other side, I mean, like I said with the Rams, if they get, this sounds so stupid, if they get past the Panthers, I feel like, man, they probably are the NFC representative. But it's like,
Monday we can see if Paul's like, oh God,
there's
I can't quit you.
Part of me that I'm like, man, the Panthers, it would make no sense, but like, because I don't know. The Seahawks, I like the Seahawks, but I feel like the Seahawks need something to break their way. That would be the break that I would see, and I'm like, yep, there we go. Because I think they can beat the 49ers, and like, it's not that I don't think they can beat the Rams, it's just, I don't know, I don't want to see Sean McVay in a battle of wits, no matter how great McDonald is. So I think that's kind of where, but there is something inside of me that's like, man, the Panthers are just going to be like, hey, everybody said, oh, you shouldn't be in. Oh, team under 500. Oh, got in with a loss, this, that, and the other. Hey, your Super Bowl favorites coming on in? Take that. How about that, buddy?
I do believe in, like, if that'll be the AFC representative. Like, clock it. I'm putting it in there. I'm leaning more towards the Jags, but whoever comes out of that game will be the AFC rep in the Super Bowl. And then on the flip side, yeah, like we said, going for the Rams. We'll see. I mean, because, like, depending on the reseeding, we'll see how it goes. If they do, that's the one thing too. The Rams are the 5th seed, so if all of the higher seeds get through, then that's going to be, another situation for Seattle to kind of play in that game in the NFC semi. So we'll see what happens. But I'm like, all right.
Are we not giving enough respect to the Eagles? They're the defending Super Bowl champions.
Would say yes. Kyle Goldera would say no. Bleep the Eagles.
I think that's fair on both fronts.
Yeah.
But, like, they're the defending Super Bowl champions. They're relatively healthy with their skill position guys. They're still pretty good defensively. Like, the playoffs are about who can win. Could believe the Eagles get hot, so, like, maybe we're not giving them enough respect. Because, yeah, the 49ers are, like, good. 49ers got to go to them.
Yeah.
And similar to what I was saying about playing in Pittsburgh in the winter, playing in Philly in the winter is not fun. Like, both of those are, I don't expect those to be fun games.
Yeah.
So maybe the team from San Francisco, maybe they don't like being in the cold. Maybe I'm not giving enough respect to the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. I don't know. I'm like sitting here, I'm just looking at it, I'm like,
I know, that's the thing. The more you look at it, the more we can talk ourselves into anyway. And that's why when it comes to the AFC side, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go with whoever wins.
Go with our guts.
Bills-Jags game is going to be the rep. And then on the flip side, I can't disagree with yours or Seahawks get it done this time. Because they're just saying that
well, if they go
rematch
against the Patriots, I pray they do, Joey. It's Joey Del Rosa or something like that. And
so, yes.
Yeah, Joey Del Rosario. Yeah, if it's your matchup, if it's Seahawks-Patriots, I definitely am pulling for you. If it's Seahawks-Jags, I could go either way. I don't think it matters much. But I can't, as a Jets fan, I cannot see a divisional rival win the Super Bowl. It's the same reason why I hate whatever. All
right, let's close it out here on our YouTube show. Again, if you guys are maybe just tuning in or whatnot, like, the power was out earlier when we were normally on, and we're actually going past our usual end time. So, yay! Because we jumped on around like 9 o'clock, and now you guys can see we are back in the light. But the power was out earlier, so like our studio boards and everything. That's why we have our remote equipment that we're using, and we have our just a really big battery pack that is kind of like a generator that we use to take to our remote broadcasts to get our broadcast powered. So that's what we're running on right now, and yeah, it's been kind of fun, and Paul and I were here in the studio already, and we're like, my bad. I feel like it's been like an entire news cycle since this happened, but the coaching carousel, but it happened after we went off air yesterday with John Harbaugh getting the boot there in Baltimore, because one of our texters, again, you guys can always text into at 808-888-5481, said, they did say kind of off subject, but this is when we were talking about college earlier, saying, could an NFL is sealed with the Pete Carroll experience in Las Vegas? I don't think any team, unless you're that desperate, will interview Bill Belichick, if anyone's kind of wondering what we're talking about. Because one, there's a reason why he kind of got booted out of the NFL, because was never able to find that success again once Tom Brady was gone. And then quickly after that, right, you see Tom win the Super Bowl. Failed experiments for UNC football, and Pablo Torre adding fuel to the fire of everything else going on there at Chapel Hill for Bill Belichick. But I know Paul does not mind that whatsoever, as that man tortured this young person for so long.
Shucks. Damn, it
so
sucks.
I do not think, I think maybe if Bill is seeking to get back in. I think just because he probably still does have their respect, he might get interviewed. I just I can't imagine him being a top candidate for a lot of these franchises, where especially when you have Stefanski, Harbaugh, who I still think, I mean, Adam Schefter posted that like Harbaugh's agent put it out there that he already got contacted by 7 NFL teams, which there were
vacancy is just putting out a feeler.
Apparently, so
wouldn't surprise me if multiple teams with with head coaches put out feelers.
So who do you think is the better coach? You want to go with Stefanski or
if I was
Harbaugh?
People are going to laugh at me, or people are probably laughing at me that I'm sitting here
we always
thinking
get laughed
about
at.
it.
It's okay.
Because, like, when you sit here, you're like, well, Harbaugh just spent 18 years with the Ravens. The Ravens were good for the majority of those. I mean, the Ravens were even good this year. They just weren't to their normal standard. And in a way, it almost feels Andy Reid-esque, the end of his tenure with the Eagles, where he had run out his course, where they were successful for plenty of years. And it's not 1-to-1, obviously, but you know, after a while, it felt like the message had gotten stale. They were ready to move on, and it's like, well, the guy didn't just forget how to coach. He's not a bad coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to go to a new place, and it's kind of where I'm at with the Cleveland Browns. Okay, this guy somehow convinced all his peers.
Barely had a quarterback and was not a
Correct.
Deshaun Watson guy.
He didn't want Deshaun Watson. He made Joe Flacco look like prime Flacco once again. He somehow got them an asset for Dorian Thompson Robinson, whatever his name is. Exactly. That's my point. Is like he's funny saying that as a Jets fan. Probably gives you a pretty good chance to win. So it's like, I don't know who I would pay. Realistically, if the Jets had the opening this year, I'd probably go Harbaugh just because I just watched him for the past 2 decades practically not have a losing season, whether it was with Joe Flacco, whether it was with Lamar Jackson, or anybody in between. Like, I feel pretty good about that. But in where the NFL is moving, or seemingly has moved, Harbaugh's background is in special teams. Stefanski is an offensive play. A lot easier going forward, because then, not that you don't have to care about the offensive coordinator position, but it's a lot easier. It's like, if they get poached, you're not like, oh no, what are we going to do with our quarterback now? It's like, no, our head coach calls the plays. It doesn't really matter.
I get it. Hence why I was like excited with the Ben Johnson hire in Chicago, because I'm like, Chicago needs an offensive guy. Can we please? Which Matt Eberflus getting fired from the Dallas Cowboys.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised you didn't bring up Eberflus.
But then you know what's even funnier is like the Colts defense sucked, and Eberflus came from the Colts, and when the Colts defense was good, hence why he was able to at least get that opportunity in Chicago. And it's like on over, and it's just like done. You do not have success unless you're a psychopath like Ben Johnson, who is very Kurt Signetti-esque, and like the Bears could be up and winning, and like still has like the most serious face.
Job's not finished.
Yeah, job's not finished.
Job finished? I don't think so.
No.
Job's not finished.
Google me.
Google me. Also, in answer to our texter's question about Chapel Bill, it wouldn't shock me for feelers to be put out. I don't know if they're going to interview him this year. I do think probably next year. This year, I think, was too much of a disaster. I think he wants to be back out of the limelight a little bit and just go back to try and win. If that's the case, I think so. Otherwise, I would just think it's a team trying to make a splash in terms of, like, we're interviewing him, but I don't think that they would hire him at this point. Like, I think it would take a very specific scenario for him to get an NFL job once again. And I think, maybe I'm crazy for this, I do think he kind of likes the challenge of college right now. Part of it's fun, of like, he's not good at this right away. Like he's navigating
Keeps him
it.
young,
So
amongst other things.
I'm sure, yeah, plenty of things are keeping him young. But yes, it does kind of seem like that ship has sailed with the Pete Carroll experience in Las Vegas. In general, coaching and sports, it's people are always looking to get younger. They always want to get the next big thing, and sometimes you see that older generation start to get left behind or age out. Bill is part of that in the coaching sphere, where unfortunately he's kind of aged out, especially for, I mean, franchises who fire their coaches, for the most part, what are they trying to do? Build for the future. I know I'm not trying to hire the 104-year-old to help build for my future.
And it's nothing to do with the lack of knowledge or the change of the game. It's just you need to be able to motivate these young men and get them all together and get them to believe in what you're building, right? Like Bill, for the most part, had Tom Brady, you were going to get yelled at by Bill Belichick. It was because Tom Brady was going to like come for you essentially, and you didn't want to let Tom down because he was going to win you a Super Bowl. Like that was how it was in New England, right? Like I have a lot of belief that Bill Belichick knows the X's and O's and everything like that, but it's just there's another layer to when you talk about professional sports across like all facets, men, women, like you just have to be able to motivate and relate in addition to calling the X's. That's why some people make better coordinators than they do head coaches. Like that's why I do think maybe Matt Eberflus, shoot, I always go back to Vic Fangio. Like he's an amazing defensive coordinator, but he was an experiment that failed in Denver because you can tell he has the locker room bought into everything that he is selling, and you see it come. I mean, Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions, same thing. Like there's a reason why the Lions can be after. At least the locker room is still there, and they get on board with Dan Campbell. So a lot of times when you see these better teams, at the time when the Ravens were winning that Super Bowl under John Harbaugh, like he was that young guy, right? Like he was that guy, and I still think he's young and can get a good job somewhere. But to your just adding on that point, where Bill Belichick could have potentially just aged himself out of college football, or college football too, maybe, but definitely the NFL.
I don't know how long he is for the college football world.
Yeah,
like
because it's the same situation. Like that's why part of what makes Timmy good is because he has that relatability to the players.
I feel bad saying it in a sense because it's not something that you can control aging. That's not something, but it is something where, I mean, and maybe this is how I would look at it if I was in the front office, and perhaps I am off base, but I don't think I am. Where, like I said, you're trying to build for the future. I don't know if I'm hiring him. I don't know if he's here for 5 years. I don't know if he's here for 3. You know, so if we're hiring him, I guess it's all in. We're going for a Super. This version of Bill Belichick is capable of leading a. Realistically, what scenarios are there that have to open up for him to be back?
And Bill Belichick is not. Now I know it was a failed experiment there, but I think it's other reasons besides Pete Carroll. But Bill Belichick is not the youngest 74-year-old you'll ever meet in Pete Carroll, right? Like Pete Carroll, when he got hired in LV, Las Vegas, I was like, it could maybe work because I still believe he has that energy to be able to connect with players.
I think he can coach still, but I don't know how good he would be. And if he's not going to be amongst the 5 best coaches, why would he want to do it? And why would an NFL team? Because you also got to remember, like, if a GM is hiring him, they are risking their job.
Yep.
And a lot of these guys...
Some of our organizations, apparently, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But, for the most part, these are once-in-a-lifetime jobs. Especially as a GM, you're not going to risk it if you don't truly believe. And I don't think he's done enough to make people believe that in this era of football, he would be able to lead a team to a Super Bowl. It's nothing to do with how smart he is, how much he knows about football. Every time, it's funny saying this about a guy I hate, but every time he's like on TV, I love listening to him talk about football because he's so incredibly knowledgeable. But like you said, there is way, 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 way more than just X's and O's. You got to be able to communicate with the Jimmies and Joes when you are the head coach.
I mean, shoot. Look no further than Nick freaking now, and his coaches, his coaching tree are all in the CFP, right? Like, he just knew that he did not want to coach in this environment that we are in. So he fortunately could decide for himself that he wanted to step away, but he kind of was aware that, like, this is not what I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with, like, spoiled kids. I don't want to deal with their wannabe agents. Like, but you hear him on the broadcast, or see him on the broadcast, and you see his coaching tree. Now, I know someone like maybe like Dan Lanning really didn't, it's like what, like one half a season or something.
Take credit.
Take credit for that.
Credit.
It's okay. Yes, coaching tree of Nick Saban.
Same reason why if anybody has ever done a broadcast with us and they ever go up to, like, that's part of our tree right there.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Take credit.
But we'll see. So just to kind of recap, in case you guys haven't or need a reminder. So the Ravens, as we were talking about, John Harbaugh with that opening. The Giants. Some of the early rumors is that that's where Harbaugh could end up, is with the Giants, which would be, good for him, because at least they do have a quarterback there, and you should have Cam back as well. We saw what happened when both those guys were healthy, with pieces to an offense, but no for sure thing yet.
Is that something you want to do? Do you want to rank the head coaching openings from best to worst, or worst to best?
Oh, potentially. So the Cleveland Browns over there with Kevin Stefanski, who will likely be another top candidate. Again, those two guys, Harbaugh and Stefanski, will be the guys that will have their pick of the litter, essentially, of where they want to go.
If a team wants them, and let me rephrase, if they want a team, they can coach that team. That is probably where they
the Cardinals, the Titans, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Selfishly, out of every team that's open, selfishly, I would want to see John Harbaugh or Kevin. I really want the Raiders to be good. I just want it for the city of Las Vegas. I want it for the people of Oakland who... Sorry, just thought of the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah,
and the patent office denying their
the lack of Las Vegas athletics.
I want to see Las Vegas / the fans that are still in Oakland that want to see their Raiders be good. Like, I hope that they. Although it seems like every head coach that goes to the Las Vegas Raiders goes to end their career too, so that's kind of unfortunate, because there's like 5 coaches on their payroll, 5 coaches worth of dead cap for the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's not great.
To me, I feel like you have a very supportive owner in Mark Davis, and Tom Brady's there and whatnot. I don't know how much of if that is a positive or not, or how much he wants to intrude on other operations. But I think that in terms of the support that you get, the excitement of the fans, the fan base, I think that is probably where I think is the best shot. And I know that I'm a little biased in that aspect. Now, if you're speaking from a coaching standpoint, I think the Giants are probably the best option because of what I just said with the players that you have.
The Ravens are.
Oh, that's true too. Excuse me.
But they don't really. Yeah. I feel like they count, but they don't really count.
Yeah.
They're a different part of the head coaching cycle, it feels like. But anyway, I wasn't really thinking about them, but I realized as you're talking, I was like, I guess I should
have Lamar Jackson.
Right. It's Lamar Jackson. It's Derrick Henry. It's Baltimore.
Yeah.
Though maybe Baltimore isn't Baltimore without John Harbaugh, though I'm pretty sure they will be.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know. He's been there for so long, right?
Yeah, but
yes, I would say we don't have to go through the full rankings now, but which place is your top?
My top.
And like I said, mine is mainly biased because I love Las Vegas, if in case no one could tell. But I do want to, I think in terms of branding as well, overall, that's a better, more fascinating market. I mean, Cleveland. No shade to your friend that's a Cleveland Browns fan, but
listen, he knows where that
big market obviously is the Giants. That's the biggest market team, but my heart lies in Las Vegas. So again, I just want to see Las Vegas be good, be competitive.
I think you can make the case for Vegas. They have the number 1 overall pick. Brady as
totally forgot about that.
Partial
Bad part by
owner.
Me.
They have Ashton Genty, which is a lot of fun. They have a clean slate where you can bring in your own head coach. I like John Spytek. I think he's a good GM. I think it's fair to put them towards the top. I don't think they'd be they've fallen into a similar category. It's why they've continued to have to hire new head coaches ever since they let go of Tom Coughlin. They've fallen into that Jets, Browns, Raiders' sphere of things where they can't seem to figure it out, despite how great of a situation it is, because I do think it's a good situation to go in if you're a guy who loves Jackson Dart's game. I think you'd love that job. I mean, you have Malik Neighbors, you have, as you mentioned, Cam Scadaboo. Their defense is pretty fun. Brian Burns, you have Abdul Carter, you've got Dexter Lawrence, you've got a lot of pretty good pieces over there. So I do think the Giants rank up there. The Cardinals, I think, are my last place team. I think the Cardinals, and I feel bad saying that, but it's like they have no
problem, or was it the coaching problem? And you're going to have to find that out real quick.
And then they're picking 3rd overall in what seems to be a 2-quarterback draft class as we talk. And unfortunately for them, the 2 teams picking in front of them, the Raiders and the Jets, both majorly are in need of quarterbacks. So if they do want to move on from Kyler, I don't know if the draft is going to be the way that they do it, so that's a question mark for them. Yeah, like I said, the Ravens are obviously, like you said.
Not as much as what you laid out there for the Giants. The more you laid out, I was like, yeah, in terms of true coaching and you want
just
success.
Just a baseline, you feel good.
Yeah.
Though I think my counter would be for the Falcons, you have the chance to go in with a GM who you are aligned with. And they are one of the few, if not the only situation that's like that, where it's a full reset. So in New York, it's Joe Shane's pick, and Shane is on the hot seat. I don't care what you say. I don't care what John Mara says. I don't care what the media says. Next year, it's put up or shut up for Joe Shane.
Even though they hit on Jackson Dart.
Yes, but it's, I mean, in his 4 years, they're 21 and 45. And I think a tie in there, actually. But at some point, you do have to win. The Falcons, I think getting to coach Bijan Robinson, similar to what I just said about the skill position players for the Giants, feel pretty good about that. Drake London's pretty good. They have pretty good defense. Realistically, they should have made the playoffs if they beat the Jets. I think you could probably make the case. I think for me, it's probably 1A, 1B between Giants and Falcons. I'd probably give the leg up to the Falcons, and I'd probably put the Raiders 3rd. Not with the Ravens. Once again, I've said this a few times. Not with the Ravens in this part. These are 2 separate. You got the 6 teams, and you don't fire John Harbaugh if you don't have a plan in place.
I was going to say, maybe they like seeing that Kevin Stefan,
a hotshot coordinator that they think is going to be awesome.
Yeah, because I agree with you. You don't make this move. Now, I saw funny on NFL memes where that field goal was essentially fired or not. Was it Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh that was going to go after this season? But both of those guys, and we brought this up before, right? And you were just laying it out there with Coughlin, teams need, and it almost ties into what we talk about all the time here in Hawaii when it comes to men's basketball, that there has been, and I understand, it's not that I'm sitting here thinking that Ravens fans, Steelers fans, they don't have a right or deservedly to be frustrated for not getting more than just a winning season. And it's easy for you and I as being prior to this season. It's almost like when it feels like you plateau, and then it's
right.
Wait, why can't we get past the hump?
At what point
why can't they win games?
Are we justified to expect more?
Yes.
I do think that is a fair point to get to.
But then you see things that, all right, is ownership, if it's here in Hawaii, is the athletics director, are the fans okay with, and people that are degenerates that tune in, they're going to gamble either way. But are you going to be okay if you move on from, if we bring it back to the NFL specifically? All right, if they moved on from Mike Tomlin, and now we'll see what happens in Baltimore, being that we'll see who they get as their head coach. But if it is season, was it worth it?
Well, I mean,
that's the risk you're taking when it comes to going, being okay. Winning season is not good enough, and I always go back to look no further than my Chicago Bears and Lovie Smith. Fangio as a coordinator for a split second, but then it went away, right? But Lovie Smith was consistently winning, couldn't get past and get to the promised land, essentially. But boy, it's been a miserable ride since then.
There are 2 sides of it, and I do think that it's important that you're able to dissect exactly why your franchise is successful or why your college is successful. Is it because the coach makes chicken soup out of chicken you-know-what? Or is it because consistently you have the good bones of a good organization, and no matter what, if you give a good quality coach that, they'll be able to win? That's always the question that I look at when it comes to these franchises. And yeah, I mean, too many fans, I do think, take winning for granted, because as somebody who has experienced his fair share of losing, it sucks. But I do also think, like, you sit here, I'll give an example, that my New York Knicks. Enough, our expectations are higher. Knicks right now are going through a bit of a rough patch. They're going through the New Year slumbers, whatever you want to call them. They've lost, I think, 4 straight. Fans are losing their minds. What did we fire Tibbs for? What does Mike Brown do? His system doesn't work. The players don't buy in. We're so soft. All these different things. Now, do I think all of that stuff's true? No, I think all of that's ridiculous. But that's the reaction, and it's a lot of the same people who were saying we can't keep Tibbs. There's no way that we can continue on with him. His style doesn't work in the NBA. So just I need people, when they do ask stuff like that, I need you to be okay. Yes, I totally understand with wanting more. But if you are no longer happy with the status quo, you do have to understand that you're signing up for being okay with, yes, perhaps we'll take a leap, but there is the other side of the card. There's the other side of the coin. There's the other shoe. Get rid of a good coach who has figured things out. That's what the Ravens are doing now. They're taking a risk, and to be fair, that's what they feel they have to do because they haven't been able to get over that hump, and they have a guy who they feel is probably generational, a multi-time MVP in Lamar Jackson in his prime, and football, NFL stands for not for long. So they feel they got to get a move on. They can't miss the playoffs. They can't choke these games away, so that's why they made the change. And I look at Pittsburgh, by the way. I don't know if Tomlin is there next year, even if they lose in the first round. I don't know if he's from the Ravens, because I don't think the Ravens... Somebody said they fired him. I'm pretty sure it was a mutual, like, parting of ways eventually. Like, yes, it was a firing, but it was also kind of like, all right, like an ultimatum. I gotta imagine that Tomlin might get the feel of like, all right, man, I'm good on taking a year, resetting, and coming back and leading another franchise because there's smoke.
Shoot, look at Sean Payton.
Exactly. I mean, look at Mike Vrabel. I mean, you want to end that actually leads me into this other question similar to what the Cubs, yes, different sport, LOL, did to grab Craig Counsell. And the answer is, in short, yes. I mean, he's a good enough coach to do that. There are enough situations that aren't great. And I'm somebody who believes that Aaron Glenn will be able to figure it out in New York and turn it around. If the Jets fired him and hired John Harbaugh, I wouldn't be upset with that. Like, I don't think that's a world where I can be upset by because Aaron Glenn's an unknown. There are a lot of franchises that have unknowns as their head coaches, or knowns, and it's not necessarily a good known. They would be looking at that, and that's an upgrade, rather than franchises who are like, I mean, we're trying to go to a Super Bowl. I mean, it is a perpetually mid to worse, and they're like, come on in, and it changed everything.
The cool part is it worked out for both franchises. Yep. But the Eagles, not to say that it'll happen for the Ravens. If you, but the flip side of, and very bad, the unsuccessful when they Super Bowl winning coach, and like with the Bears with their playoff making.
If the Patriots weren't lucky, that's where they would be. Think about them. I mean, after Bill left, it was a disaster with Gerard Mayo, and what's to say that if Mike Vrabel doesn't want to come home, if the Titans aren't morons and fire him for no reason, I mean, what's to say that they figure it out in this past cycle?
Like, the good thing with, and this is why I wish it was more regulated in college, the good thing is, in the NFL, there's compensation from players to coaches. There are consequences, hence Sean Payton too. that's why he had to wait it out for a little bit, because the Saints still owned his rights as a coach. And it's just glorious when there's rules in play and Ben Johnson is going to go somewhere else and Caleb Williams not going to be like,
it would
that
be
would
miserable.
ruin me.
It would be miserable.
But they're all locked in. It is. And then if any team wants to tamper or take them, at least the Bears will get some compensation out of it. So that's how it should extra. Be. But no, it is interesting when you look at, especially in the NFL, right, where, and we've talked about this multiple times, where how much coaching matters. Now, you do still have to have good players. You do have to have a good quarterback. That's why, like with Mike Tomlin, to not have a quarterback and people are still like, it's the coach. Like, you don't have a true franchise quarterback. Like, you have an old man Aaron Rodgers. You don't have prime Aaron Rodgers. He's getting the job done, but Pittsburgh does not have it makes me chuckle where people are always looking at Tomlin first. I'm like, you guys don't even have a quarterback. Like, how can you be mad at the coach when you're still getting winning seasons without a bleeping quarterback, right? Like, and just like with John Harbaugh, I mean, he does have a quarterback, and I think that's why I understand the frustration in Baltimore where they have an MVP quarterback, and to not get that far where the expectation is, that's more understandable than what I see happening in Pittsburgh, because if you don't have a quarterback,
I don't think I'll ever understand what's going on.
Then you see how much of a psychopath Antonio Brown is and realize we did not know anything about that until he left Pittsburgh. Bell. Yes.
I mean, shoot. Think about how miserable. You sit here and you have your feelings towards Aaron Rodgers. I sit here, I look at how the last 2 years went for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and the circus show that it was. There hasn't been an issue all year.
True.
I mean, it's been status quo, and a lot of it, I have to imagine, is because Aaron Rodgers respects Mike Tomlin. That's it. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. He respects Mike Tomlin. You have a guy who gets the respect of maybe the biggest diva in the history of the... That's not true. That
was Antonio Brown.
That was hyperbole. But, I mean, a massive, massive diva at the quarterback position who has consistently been culture. Obviously, there are times where the Aaron Rodgers of it all does bust out, but I mean, he's assimilated to Pittsburgh culture. That's something that a lot of coaches could... I mean, shoot. McCarthy is still looking for a job again because he still kind of has the stain of the end of the Packers era, plus obviously what went on with the Cowboys. But, like, I mean, he's a good coach.
Mike McCarthy, come back and coach in the NFC North, because I only won one Super Bowl, and the amount of talent they had on that Packers team, the torture that I had to go through to watch how good that Packers team was, and all they can say is that they own the Chicago Bears, but not have more than in Aaron Rodgers' time, not have more than one Super Bowl.
That's probably fair, where it's like that's the difference between your Bears-Packers like hatred and my Jets-Patriots hatred. Is like, at the very least, I can swallow it and be like, pause. I can be like, I mean, they were the best team in the NFL. They won like half dozen Super Bowls. So yeah, sure, they were kicking the snot out of the Jets. They're doing that to everybody. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. It's my fault that, okay, we're in their division. Whereas the Packers, it's like, okay, yeah, they own us, but then they choke in the playoffs every year. It would piss me off. It would be like, they're good. I'm telling you guys, they're good. And then they just don't have for Bill, where it's like, I mean, I don't know how good of a coach you can say he is at this point of his life. Like, the game might have whatever, and it's like, I'd still, until otherwise, I would still be like,
now I do feel like North has all good coaches.
It's brutal.
Now. So it's just like, dang it. Or Mike McCarthy, come back somehow. I don't think any other team would hire him. I mean, like I said, all the teams have good potentially. From what I've seen, it's not incredible. And I know, like, he wasn't successful either in Dallas, but Dallas has its own issues with Jerry Jones and him wanting to be a head coach and the GM and all parts in between and the quarterback. I don't know. Sorry, Dallas fans, for that. But it was interesting to see how these go. I'm glad that, like I said, my team has their guy. If you had to choose, like you talked about how you, like the coaches that are available, you would want Harbaugh for the Jets if it had to happen. If you had to choose between Harbaugh and Tomlin.
Tomlin, not even close. And in a heartbeat. Trade a first-round pick for Mike. He is the culture. Like, everyone is like, oh, I want a culture guy. I want a CEO. I want somebody who's able to, like, run my building. And that's Tomlin. And it's been Tomlin since he got there. I respect the living daylights out of Mike Tomlin. Whereas, like, Harbaugh, I respect, but also I think, like, Harbaugh went from Flacco, who, say what you want, but Flacco was pretty good in his prime, to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And, like, listen, he does deserve credit. Harbaugh deserves credit for the development and yada, 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 and all these things. Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons. Guy practically put out 8 quarterbacks since the retirement of... I would kill for that. So, yeah.
To see how the coaching carousel goes, though. But yeah, again, thank you guys for tuning in.
That was fun.
Wow, shocker.
We ended up doing 2 hours.
We kind of talked and more than...
We legitimately talked 2 hours.
We only took one break, so we talked for the whole time. Not shocking whatsoever, because when we take breaks, we still talking during our commercial breaks anyways. Because there was a broadcast and using our board doesn't work. We had to set up our what we call a Comrex over here for our microphones and everything like that. So all of our boards and music and stuff doesn't work. Well, now it does because the power has since, like I said, been restored.
We hope so.
But that is why we were on the couches, because in order to get everything set up, we had to be this way. But yeah, it's been pretty comfortable. It was kind of a fun experiment. I always thought about potentially doing like a podcast, like like a chill sit-down podcast. Yeah, from these little couches here. So it was good that we kind of made it work. So, yeah. But that about wraps us up on this impromptu in the dark for half the show and then in the light and YouTube show. So we thank you guys for tuning in and you guys commenting. I see Caesar got in here late. Sorry, Caesar. It's because we got on here late and we didn't plan for it. But Caesar is saying, wanted to congratulate Paul on being a dad. Future Jets fan we got over here, and she'll be lucky to grow up watching Arch Manning or the Crystal Bowl, Miami versus Oregon. That's true, as we mentioned that Mario Cristobal came from the Oregon.
Caesar is more creative than I could ever dream to
Crystal
be.
Bowl. But we'll most likely get Indiana versus Miami this year. I don't know. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I honestly... The more we talked about the Miami-Ole Miss game, I'm like, I don't know who's going to come out of that. And I don't know who's going to come out of the Indiana-Oregon game.
No,
so
we've got a great Final Four.
It's going to be fun to watch us starting tomorrow with that Miami-Ole Miss game. Let's see. I want to make sure, since we're not necessarily pressed for time and on YouTube, get through some of these comments.
We don't have a hard out.
Let's see. Coach Saban coaching tree. Caesar saying Felipe would be happy if John Harbaugh went to his Giants. Honestly, I think we were just talking about this.
From Ohio, like Cleveland area, so maybe he has mutual as I made it out to be. Maybe it really was just a firing, like straight up. Maybe he's like, oh, we'll go back and be in the division and beat the life out of you with the Browns, which is also fun because obviously the Ravens were once the Browns.
Yeah, all that history behind it too. Let's see, Alex saying, plus Coach Tomlin looks super cool in his sunglasses.
Correct.
He does. He's like a cool cat type of guy. Like, he has that swag.
It's part of the reason I want Aaron Glenn to succeed.
He does have that
cool
swag
as hell.
too. Yeah.
I want that dance to not be a meme. I want that to be like
very Kurt.
Oh, he's
a young Kurt Signetti. He's kind of a
I look at
kind
him
of a
as
nerd,
Lanning.
but he's like psychotic.
I think he's more Dan Lanning.
That's totally Dan Lanning.
Because they're like Signetti is similar to him, but Lanning is like, if you told me that Dan Lanning does smelling salts on the sideline before every game, I would probably believe you.
Yeah.
You know, and like Ben Johnson kind of gives me a very similar, like, intense vibe of like,
yeah,
we're talking football.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
That's it.
We're not here for anything else. Here for football. Here for winning.
That's it. Job's not finished.
Job's not finished.
Job's not
Job
finished.
finished?
Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Till the good gets better and the better gets best. Hey, yo.
Amen.
Yeah. And and then, then you got Kurt Signetti and apparently, like, Tosh Lupoi.
What Cal has been doing?
Oh, my gosh.
They got a 4-star receiver. Ian Strong's good. Like, really good. They might
It
get...
also helps when your quarterback's there.
Well, so obviously they keep Jaron, who I think was ranked as the 3rd best freshman. Dorian Thompson, something. The tight end from New Mexico, who was first team All-Mountain West. He is going to Cal. Mason Minnie decided that he will be returning, who Jaron had a pretty good connection with this year. Like I mentioned, Ian Strong. They're hoping to get Jacob DeJesus back. That offense is all of a sudden pretty fun. I think they got a 4-star transfer from Washington as a running back. They'll make sure that everything's set in stone there, though who knows anymore with Washington. No, sorry. Cal's cooking. Tosh Lupoi. I could see why his intensity is something that the guys might want to play for.
Yeah, I was just thinking about when I saw a post where someone asked him about, like, sleeping, and he basically was like...
Sleep when I'm dead.
And he was like, I haven't slept the full 7 to 8 hours in, like, basically he said, like, 30 years.
Yeah,
like, he
I believe it.
he only sleeps, like, I want to say 4, maybe 5 hours a night. All the time. And he's like, I feel the same if I get that much sleep or not. He's like, I don't...
That's all he gets. It's all he needs, really. It's like, and that's the funny thing about sleep. I'm sure his body would love a little bit more, but if that's what it feels to get him through the day.
I think our internet's kind of crashing out a little bit. So, yeah, if anyone is still tuning in or you're watching on demand, thank you guys for tuning in our impromptu. It's Hawaii Sports Radio Network on YouTube. We'll be back on radio hopefully tomorrow and the return of Sharks Weekly. Bye.